Hey, I'm Mike Baccarella, and today we're going to take a look at how Jeff Beck and Joe Diorio both use chromaticism to get from one place to another. Let's take a look. Earlier this week, we lost Jeff Beck, and that inspired me to do this lesson because this line in particular inspired my playing in a big way because it opened my eyes to the possibilities of things that you could do that weren't necessarily scalar or chord based. It was just kind of interesting way to get from one place to another. If you haven't already, please check out Blow by Blow, Wired, any of the early Jeff Beck group stuff, any of the later stuff, really anything by Jeff Beck. It's a great source of inspiration because he took the guitar to places that no one else did. This line in particular is played over an F minor chord, and it's really interesting because there's really nothing to it. It's one three-note grouping that just moves down chromatically and repeats over and over again. So let's take a look at what's going on. So the core of this line is just a half-step trill. That's it. That's the whole line. And we do the first and second finger on the third string. We're starting on the G here on the 12th fret. We're going to A flat. And the chord in particular he's playing over is an F minor. So we're playing the second to the flat third, back to the second. And then he just moves backwards. And he moves all the way down the guitar an entire octave from the 12th fret down to the open string. And that's the whole line. So we're moving from one place that we know works, the second and the third, down to the second and third. And we're just going to every single place in between. This works because we're moving down in a parallel fashion. We're moving sequentially down by the same interval every single time. And our ear hears that as a pattern. Our ears hear harmony really well, and we get used to expecting things. But when we don't hear that harmony and we hear a pattern, our ear seems to make just as much sense of it. So that's all this concept is. Just moving. You're starting somewhere. You have a place in mind where you're going to go, and you're just going to get there chromatically. I could go less and go down to the 13th, the F minor chord. When I started thinking about doing a lesson on this particular line, I realized that Joe Diorio does this a lot too. But Joe does this in particular quite a bit with a three-note grouping. Where he's taking his first finger, second finger, and fourth finger and playing, in this case, B, C, and D, all hammer-ons. And then he moves that particular shape through different string sets. And it's almost kind of like a legato exercise you might practice if you were learning, to play, Joe Satriani style stuff. And then he'll move it around. And he might move it a lot. He might do it for a while. Until he gets to where he wants to go. In this particular case, this line is over a 2-5 in the key of C. So we got D minor 7, G7, C major 7. And so we're starting here for the D minor 7, we're starting on B. And we're hammering from B, C to D. Now we're taking the shape in this position down the first, second, and third string. Back up to the second string. So 1, 2, 3, 2. Now we're not worried about what notes we're playing. That really doesn't matter because it's the pattern that's going to eventually resolve. And then when we get to G7, we're going to play on B flat, B natural, C sharp, which are all altered tones. We're in here on this A flat. And then for the C major, we're going to do a Joe Diorio patented all fifths kind of line. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing G on the second string, 8th fret, up to D on the 10th fret, 1st string, and then I'm going down to C on the 3rd string, 5th fret, back up to G, octave down to G here on the 4th string, 5th fret, D, octave down to D here on the 5th string, 5th fret, A on the 7th fret there, on the 4th string, down to C, G, G, D, and then down to B. So the whole line will look like this. So you can see how with both of these lines so far, all we have is an idea. We're starting place, some sort of chromatic pattern that we're going to move, and then we're going to resolve to somewhere. So we have a destination in mind. And that's really what it takes. It's a starting point and then a destination. Then you kind of work your way through it and you get there. So for this last line, this is a Mike Baccarello line. Again, we are going to be over a 2-5 in the key of C. So D minor 7, G7, C major 7. I'm starting here on being the 13th of the D minor chord, and I'm hammering on chromatically all the way up to the 15th fret. So 12, 13, 14, 15, which is the D, which is my root, right? And then I'm going down, down again, down again. So I'm starting at the 12th fret, 11th fret, 10th fret, 9th fret. So there's my 4 beats over the D minor chord. Now for the G7 chord, I'm going to start an A and hammer up to the C. So 10, 11, 12, 13. Go down to the 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret. And I'm going to land for the C major 7 on G, which is the 5th of the chord. So you can see I'm starting here, going up again, and I have a destination in mind. So I got to my 5th of the C major chord. Now from there I go down an A minor 7 arpeggio, or a C6, a G, E, C, A, and then D, B, G, E, so E minor 7, which is kind of like a C major 9. And I go up to A, C, D, B. So the whole line will look like this. So I hope you get something out of this concept. It's a really easy concept to grasp. All you have to do is have a shape or an idea, some sort of chromatic thing you can move around. It can be on one string like Jeff Beck. It can be on multiple strings like Joe Diorio. But as long as it's just a parallel pattern that's moving, it'll work. And then you have to have a destination in mind. Once you get to your destination, your ear will correct all the outside sounds it heard and then hear that it is now resolved, and it'll work out. So this is a really easy concept to grab. So please take it and run with it. You apply it to 2-5s and all kinds of stuff. And Joe Diorio does this a lot. Pat Metheny does stuff like this a lot. And of course, Jeff Beck does this on Blow by Blow. Thanks for checking the lesson. Keep practicing. See you next time.